was comfortable in the spot that I was. I loved what I did. But then leaving this role, I was like, you know what? My love for volleyball precedes that of my husband. Like, this goes way back. Like, I can't not do this. So,
Yeah.
But one of the things that I think is so great is we're very much in what I would call like startup mode. So it's all very malleable right now, which means that we can really shape it for what we want it to look like. One of the things I was thinking about is like professional women's volleyball didn't exist. So I knew D1 was as high as I could dream, right? Outside of the Olympics. But when I was growing up, D1 was as high as I could dream. And I remember being, in 8th grade and doing in the gym and I'm like, D1, D1, D1. It's hard not to be jealous when other generations get great opportunities that weren't there. But being able to be a part of building what this next generation gets, I think is my lemonade. I'm not going to be, any of those individuals on the court, but I get to help continue to elevate the league, continue to help elevate the sports and elevate those athletes, and being able to be a part of that is something that's incredible. I mean, there's so many adversities that you face when you're in sports. I remember all of us teammates were like, well, the harder the struggle, the better the ESPN 360.
True.
Right? You're
True.
like, okay, if I'm really struggling through this, then my undeterred story is going to be so much better. But I think I do feel like I'm coming really full circle, and I think that being able to be a part of professional women's volleyball now, at this point in my career, with what I have in my resume, has been probably I'm feeling like I'm seeing the lemonade. So that's been really special.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of When Life Gives You Lemon. I'm here with Karisa Malchow, the Vice President of League One Marketing at Nebraska. And my name is Rebekah Allick, and I play volleyball currently at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. So before we get into this amazing opportunity you have with League One, I just want to get to know you more just as a woman, your story. I know you played volleyball for Kirsten at Creighton. Mm-hmm. Super cool, by the way. So yeah, I don't know, what's your story? Like, who are you?
Yeah. So I was an Air Force brat. My dad was in the Air Force for 21 years, and he retired so I could stay in the same high school all 4 years. I was in like 5 or 6 different elementary schools. So I from all over, but kind of claim Oklahoma as home. That's where I was able to graduate high school. And then Kirsten recruited me when I was 15 to come play for Creighton. I didn't think I wanted to be in Omaha, but I have been here since then. I absolutely loved it. Volleyball is one of the things that just totally grew me as a person. And so played volleyball for Creighton. We were part of my team was the team that took us to the first ever NCAA appearance.
That's awesome.
So we go back to games and I'm like, see that first year on the banner, kids? Like, that's our team. So it was really fun. And then met, who's now my husband at Creighton as well. And so we stuck around, and I immediately after finishing college went straight into my career. So got my degree in marketing, started right away at an agency here locally, kind of grew up through the ranks there, tried some client side, but really loved the agency, and then recently have become the vice president of marketing for League One here in Nebraska. So it's really nice to be able to be back in the sport. I have a husband, like I said, we're both Creighton fans. I'm learning to be better about cheering for the Huskers, especially with League One. So anything women's athletics is easy to cheer for. And then I have 3 kids, 2 boys and a little girl. So it's really cool to be able to be a part of this future. And I know, especially in volleyball, we talk about the opportunity for girls so much. But it's really also important for the boys to see that too, that mom can go out and do these things and have a career and have kids, and that my daughter will be able to do those things too. And so that it's this opportunity for both of them. So I think as much as women's athletics is huge, obviously for the girls and the women that we can see that, it's also massively important for the boys. And so that's been something that's been really important for everyone in my family to be able to see. So grateful for the opportunities and what Nebraska gets to build. Yeah,
absolutely. And very well said. I think it's really cool how you shouted out also like the male following of volleyball. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's blowing up gradually in Nebraska. And I feel like there's so much publicity right now for women's athletics, but it's like also men love women's volleyball too.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool that you just shouted them out, because like we love all of our fans, and so
yeah,
very cool.
It's so well put. You've got women now that are coaching in NFL and NBA, and a huge part of that, and then you've got men that are in women's volleyball. So I think it's huge to be able to support that, and we're going to need an entire fandom to continue to elevate the game of volleyball. So
yeah.
So I agree. There's some huge fans, and especially in this state, you can't beat it.
Absolutely. Honestly, this just sparked a random thought, and it's kind of a sidetrack, but do you think League One would ever create like a men's
I think it'd be awesome if they did.
That would be so cool.
I think it would be great if they did. And it's, it's so funny. I feel like in our household, we're so, like, I'm like very feminist, we talk about all these things. And in our house, like mom has the big career and dad cooks and cleans and all this stuff. And my boys are always like, how come there's not more men's volleyball? Like we're almost like overcorrecting.
Oh,
so
wow.
I think it would be great. I mean, I think we need to start. The great thing about League One is it's an ecosystem, so it starts at the club level. So I think there's huge opportunity to start at the club level to get boys into sports. I mean, I'll pepper with my middle kid in the backyard all the time, and he wants to be able to have that opportunity too. So I hope in the future we can, because I think it'd be great.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Okay, so I'm learning here. So you got your degree in marketing at Creighton, and I guess how did this opportunity come about with League One, being the head of marketing?
Yeah, great question. So like I said, Kirsten recruited me when I was 15 to come play volleyball for Creighton. And then one of the things that was crazy in the age that I was is once you got done with your collegiate career, you either went overseas or you were done. And
Right.
so, I would joke and I was like, I just aged out of the sport that I loved. And I never once stopped loving it, stopped following it. And I think a lot of times early on as an athlete, they don't teach you how to transition out of being an athlete. Like I self-identified as an athlete for so long, and then you're just done. And it's just because of your age and you graduate and you didn't know what to do. So I struggled for a long time to be like, if I go back like the year right after I graduate, is everyone like, hey, you should leave campus, like you graduate, So I had a little bit of a hard time with the transition there. And then was able to kind of focus on building my career. But the thing that was great is I kept a lot of those relationships and kind of stayed in there. I'm so ridiculously fortunate that within my career, I still got to be involved in a lot of aspects. So I wasn't even looking at this role. But when Kirsten fortunately posted for it, she was like, hey, volleyball, I was a top exec at that agency. And so she was like, no, this makes sense. And initially I was like, whoa, I was comfortable in the spot that I was. I loved what I did. But then leaving this role, I was like, you know what? My love for volleyball precedes that of my husband. Like this goes way back. Like I can't not do this. So
Yeah.
a lot of it is just staying engaged, involved, and maintaining a lot of those relationships. And so it was great too, because I was like, hey, Kirsten, like when we were having these conversations, I was like, I'm very different than I was at 18. And she's like, I'm also very different than when I coached you 20 years ago. And I was like, okay, we got this. So
That's awesome.
So it was great. And it's like coming home, and our director of team operations, her and I played together for a year at Creighton. So my first day I walk in and I see her, I was like, oh my gosh, it's my teammate. So it's been fantastic. And I get to blend my true love and passion for volleyball with my career and what I love about marketing. So it's been the best of both worlds. And it's just an incredible opportunity that I'm eternally grateful for.
That's awesome. Very cool. I guess, so I'm learning here, so you're part of brand development, fan engagement, community outreach. I guess, like, what are some successes you have found, but also some struggles you found in each of those departments?
Yeah, so the great thing that we're at with League One right now, so we have a fantastic league and a lot of ownership within that league. So we've got some founders, investors at the top level league, like you would at the NBA. And Nebraska is one of the first that's franchising out. So we're building out our own team ownership and being able to truly control everything. So right now, we're transitioning where the league owns some of the assets that we have, and then what Nebraska gets to own is those assets. So I would say that that's one of the things, and everyone at the league is fantastic and everyone wants the league to succeed. So that's one of the things that we're working on, identifying how we can continue to grow those pieces in accordance with the league, but make it specific for our market. Nebraska is such a unique market, and it needs to be true and authentic, because I think Nebraska fans and volleyball fans would know the difference if we didn't. So I think that a couple of the wins that we've been able to have, we were able to, in November, launch a partnership with an ambassador that's going to support League One. So Danny Busboom Kelly coming home to Nebraska. She is a League One ambassador. So being able to show her support for our league has been fantastic. And so I think that those are some of the wins that we've identified where we get to customize it for what Nebraskans know and love about volleyball. We've got Jordan Larson, Lexi Rodriguez, Jaylee Winters on our roster. And so I think being able to see the homegrown talent that gets to stay in this state for professional has been a huge win. So we have have some ways to go in terms of fan engagement and fan experience, and we are continuing to grow. And I think the best thing that we've done is be able to listen to the feedback. I was at practice this morning, and one of our middles came up and was like, "Hey, I have this idea for merch. I think we should do this." And I was like, "Great, tell me more." And
really?
So I think the ability to collaborate and listen and do what is the true meaning of volleyball, like that teammate. Collaboration has just been huge. So I think those are huge wins. And we have so much opportunity ahead of us. Sometimes it gets overwhelming by how much opportunity we have. But I think if we just keep chipping away and keep being true and authentic to who we are, I think the fans will rally really big time.
Oh, absolutely. And as a Nebraskan, yes, absolutely. That is so cool. The middle came up to you and you guys strategized some merchandise?
Yeah.
Wow.
We had media day this weekend, and so we were chatting with them, and media, you've done media days, right?
Yeah.
We do the photo, the video, the interview, and then they're all in their, they're glammed up, they got their hair and makeup done, and then they're like, "Hey, can we stay for a couple more hours and film all of our TikToks?" And I'm like, "Yes, please." That would be so, like, from a marketer, I'm like, "Please, like, the fans care about you, So they were great about that. And then we got them some new merch for this year. So we were able to gift them those things when they had their new jerseys and everything. And then just this morning, they're like, "Hey, I actually had this idea. I think we should do this with the logo and do this." And I was like, "Great. We still have, licensing that's up that we get to control. We get to control the licensing and the partnerships." And so, so I was like, "Great, yeah, let's talk about it." And then another one of her teammates came over, like, "Are you talking about that idea that you had?" And I was like, "Great, we want to be collaborative, and we want these players to be elevated as the professionals that they are, and we want them to be able to feel proud of what we're building, because we're really building it together as a team." So it was pretty cool that she had the idea.
Wow.
And was like, "Hey, by the way, here's what I want to do." So.
Yeah, and I would also add, just shout out to you, like, just even considering that. I mean, it's one thing to entertain the conversation, but then to actually be like, like, this could be something.
Yeah.
That means a lot, too, as an athlete, because I think, I guess my fear, like, moving forward is, like, that out-of-touch feeling. But, like, knowing that the league is bought into you as much as you are into them, like, that will carry on who knows how far. And, again, authenticity, you can, like, feel it, even through a screen sometimes.
Yeah.
So, very cool.
Well, and again, like, the fans want you,
Yes.
like, you have so many fans in this state alone. And so it's like, okay, well, what can we do to continue support and elevate you? And the first day that I was there, we went and talked to the team, and I was like, "Hey, I exist to make sure the league gets elevated, that you get elevated. Like, you should be a household name.
Yes.
It shouldn't, when we're listing off, the pro athletes, I have heard, more people starting to say, like Steph Curry and Asia Wilson, but it's like, they need to have the Rebekah Allick. Like, those need to be household names, and they deserve to, because they're awesome."
Very cool. Very cool. And thank you.
Yeah.
I guess, with how did being a D1 volleyball player prepare you for this specific career?
Being a D1 athlete was the best thing I could have ever done in my entire life. It has prepared me to be a better person, a better leader, a better mom. I think the thing, especially about being a D1 athlete, is you have to prioritize your time. It's so easy to overcommit. I still do it a little bit. I'm sure you do it a little bit too.
Yes.
It's your day off today, and here you are. But I think the other thing is being able to react, to be proactive, and then also be able to react. So if something changes, being able to adjust and move. And I think, especially being volleyball specific, you have your positions, right? Like, you have all your positions on the court, but something goes haywire. Everyone runs to fill in and figure out what you need to do to finish out the play. And I use that analogy all the time at work. And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm over here doing this. I need you to come cover me over here, or make sure if..."
Pun intended.
Cover. I know. It's good. Well, I also do a lot of times, I'm like, "Hey, we need to focus on our side of the net.
Yeah.
I understand we need to know what competition is going on. But if we don't have our side of the net figured out, it doesn't matter, So there's so many analogies. And I think some of those key pieces, like hard work, grit, resiliency, being a good teammate, like all of that puts you through the ringer, so that when you're out for me, in the professional world, it really helps prepare you for any situation that you're coming to. And I think those are like the bedrock of what any successful person would want. Plus, it's, again, I at least know the language when we're talking volleyball. We have a couple people that are great that were, D1 basketball players that are on our staff. And they joke, they're like, "I just picked the wrong sport." And I'm like, "We're not going to hold it against you. You still have those like bedrock foundational pieces." But it's been awesome. And I think being an athlete is one of the best things that I could have ever had the opportunity to do.
Very cool. Very cool. And obviously it seems to have set you up for all kinds of success. Even before you were deciding on with League One, I can imagine that ambition and drive carried into everything else that you did.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what helped get me to my career where I'm at now, to be able to even have this opportunity open up. I was always competitive. I think being a D1 athlete was always a part of all of my professional bios because there is such that innate element. And it's interesting. I speak at a lot of like university events, and a lot of the athletes will approach me after and they get so nervous about their resume. And they're like, well, and I'm like, look, I graduated from Creighton University without a single internship to my name. But if you talk about the pieces that D1 athletics brings you, I mean, those are internships in and of themselves. I mean, a lot of times, you get media training. You have to know how to interview well and present yourself. And so I always talk to athletes about being able to pump that up, because a lot of times you don't have time to build out a full internship within your resume. So it definitely helped to get me to this point. And I think now I kind of feel like it's all finally coming together with, again, everything that I love about marketing, everything that I love about volleyball, and getting to still be in this sport is awesome.
Yeah, sounds like the perfect storm.
Yeah, it does.
Very cool. I just had some questions in the back here about the intersection of banking and business. So when it comes to business in general, partnerships are important. Name a time when you were in a situation where your banking partner helped you solve that problem.
Oh, that's a great one. I think banking is I know everyone thinks numbers right away when they think of banks, but money is so emotional. And I think it needs to be such a protected and guarded asset. We've had instances in my previous life where we've had issues, with clients or vendors paying us or not paying us. And we've had our banking partners come in and be able to help us assess the situation and come at it from a different perspective. And what I appreciate about those kinds of relationships is it is emotional, but they're able to take a little bit of a step back because it's not their business or their personal finances. So they help give you some of that perspective when you're addressing those situations. But at the core of it, you know that they really care. Like, you have a relationship there. So I think that those are some of the best qualities, because it's a huge part, and that's how we get to, get great athletes on our roster. That's how we get to be able to put marketing out there. That's how we get to do cool fan experiences. And you can't do that without the funds to do so and managing them correctly. So it's extremely important to be able to have those relationships.
That makes sense. And I find that interesting about what you say about money being emotional. Will you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think when you're talking, so the client side that I worked in was a bank here locally, and when you start talking about people's money, it gets really emotional really quickly. So like money, kids, there's some of those kind of like hot button topics, and I think people always are wanting to grow, they're wanting to protect, and so as soon as there's something that comes either in conflict of that or could put that on the edge, I think that's when people start getting emotional. And again, it looks like it's dollars and cents, right? And we know that that money is a thing, and you can use it for good or for evil. Please use it for good. But at the same time, I think that there's so much emotion tied to that. You spend your life working to be able to earn the money that you do to spend it on the things that you want. So if there's anything that comes in contact or in conflict with that, then it gets really personal really quickly.
That makes sense. Yeah, I can't imagine. Having to navigate that conversation, maybe even having someone to simmer down so you can focus and move forward.
Yeah. You got to move past the emotion to get to the logical side of it.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I guess with more back to the marketing, so revenue generation, fan engagement, do you have any particular strategy or project you're looking forward to, or past one that you've been really excited about or proud of?
Yeah, so starting in January, when we start our home opener, our first serve's on January 11th, the Baxter Arena. I think one of the things that this will be my first full season then with the league. So I'm excited to be a part of the first full season. But one of the things that I think is so great is we're very much in what I would call startup mode. So it's all very malleable right now, which means that we can really shape it for what we want it to look like. And I think some of the things I'm the most excited about are we also do partnerships and sponsorships also falls within my purview right now. And so I think building those foundational partnerships because the approach that we take at the league is, and especially at Nebraska, is if we're working on a sponsorship or a partnership, we want to understand what that business or what that entity wants, and then what we can bring to the table. And we customize every deal that we do to make sure that it's mutually beneficial, because again, that authenticity, right? We want to make sure that any of our partners and sponsors get exactly out of it what they want, and then we're able to keep continuing with those sponsorship dollars. So it's a great ecosystem. I'm really excited to build. It's really fun to hear conversations with people that want to be in on the front end of it and what they're looking for and what they get so excited about. And I mean, I feel like I have the coolest job in the world, and I feel like it's in the best state possible. Like, everyone knows volleyball. Very rarely do I ever have to explain to anybody what a libero is or does.
True.
Or why she wears a different jersey.
True.
Like, people understand these things. So it's kind of nice to be able to go into those conversations. So I'm so excited for season 2 for League One. Our team is stacked again. I was watching practice today, and they're just such a good team. I think being around the team has been fantastic, but I'm really excited for the fan engagement and then to build out those like founding partnerships and sponsorships that we're working on right now.
Wow, sounds like exciting stuff. Are there any nerves entering into like a role and it's so new? Like, you even used the word startup. Like, can it feel like there's a lot of pressure on you to perform, or is it, I don't know, I guess, yeah. How would you answer that?
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe that's a good answer for when you were talking about being a D1 athlete, right? You go back to the serving line and, we'd always practice where you got hecklers and people saying stuff to you, when you're away games. So there definitely is pressure. I'm definitely feeling the pressure to be able to perform and do those things. It's in a very healthy culture. So I do think some of it is self-inflicted just because we are so competitive,
right.
Just as people being athletes. But I think the biggest thing is that it feels like it's so collaborative. Like, I don't feel like I'll fail on my own. One of the hardest parts, again, thus far, has just been trying to navigate. I'm like, okay, I don't really know how to get this approved. Like, do I need to run this through the league? Can I just make this decision? So kind of navigating that. But again, I sent a note to the league, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna do this. Is that cool? And she's like, yeah, great, love it. And I was like, okay, cool.
That's
now
awesome.
we're going, So again, it's kind of taking that initiative and being proactive. So I definitely feel the pressure to perform because there's such a bigger why. That like professional women's volleyball has such a bigger why. These athletes' resumes are just insane. So I feel the pressure to be able to support them. It's, it's kind of like, I don't want to let down my teammate. You play for the girl next to you, and I'm like, I feel the pressure for not wanting to let down those individuals, and be able to continue to have the legacy for this to build on for our players' daughters to, eventually play. So I think that's more where the pressure is, but it's a good pressure, right? Like, it's like the healthy competition, and it helps drive everything forward. So it feels good, but there's definitely the pressure to perform. And I think right now there's so many different things we're focused on. Like, what are we prioritizing that we know we need to get done now, before January 11th to make sure we're ready. So
yeah, I'll be here before we know it.
I know, it's coming fast.
That is so exciting. I guess, like, social media wise, do you have like a favorite thing you like to do, or I guess observe? I don't know, because how far intertwined are you with the actual like social media posts?
Very. So social media is also under the marketing purview. So if you think about where we're at with League One right now, basically ticketing and finance are the only things that myself in marketing doesn't oversee. So I get to lead everyone that's kind of running that side of things. So social is great. I love seeing what the players post and how they get into it. I think the biggest part of social media is being able to build a community and being able to like humanize the athletes. I mean, we see you play, you see what they look like on the court, but you also want to see them as people, because that's how you really build that fandom. You want to know that, Jaylee's really funny, or like Jordan jokes that she's not good at TikTok, but then she just crushed the one that she posted with Lexi.
I saw that one.
Wasn't that hilarious?
So good. She had the sunglasses on. I was so proud.
Killed me. We'll have to like link that to this on one. But then they did another one. It was like, Lexi and Kimmy were like, what do you do here for fun? It was like, sometimes we just throw stuff at Kevin. And then, Jaylee's in the blue screen room and they're throwing balls at Jaylee, and Jaylee falls down. And it's like, and I think it's so important for professional athletes, especially women professional athletes, to be able to show all those facets. So I love that social media is a platform for that. Like, we were talking about that yesterday at Media Day. I'm like, look, they can be gorgeous glam, and they can smile, and they can be kind, but they also don't have to be. Like, you don't have to smile. You can be fierce. You can be badass and
Yes.
intimidating. And you can be strong and
Yeah.
fierce, and then you can be funny, and you could be silly, and you could just be a woman. And I think that the ability that social media has for that, and some of the female athletes that are doing it now are doing a great job. So I love the humanizing element of it and being able to truly follow the athletes that you align to. So it's when the athletes are like, hey, can I do this on social? I'm like, please, oh my gosh, yes. Because they're going to follow you more than they're going to follow, just some corporate thing that's coming out. And we're not corporate, but that's where you get the fandom, and that's where you get people that are exciting, and they're like, oh my gosh, no, I saw Rebekah post this, and so like I love her, and you feel like you know them, and then so it's easier to have someone when you're watching on a court, when you've got all these thousands of fans, you're like, oh, I feel like I know her, and I getting that alignment, and then again showing that example. I just think women's athletics has such a great platform and such a great opportunity, and I love that social media is here with it.
That is awesome. And speaking to like the fans engaging more with the athlete than I guess like the team page, I've noticed that a lot with famous people or like singers, artists. They have their own fan pages that are actually ran by their marketing team. And I was like, why do they do that? And then I kept watching it. And everyone obviously, like for example, Sabrina Carpenter, yes, Sabrina will happily post what she wants on her page, but everyone wants to see Sabrina performing. They don't necessarily want to see maybe her cat, maybe they do, or I don't know, like random stuff that they like to post. But people love seeing like highlight reels and all of that stuff about the actual person. So that makes a lot of sense, like regarding fan engagement of like balancing the two. Like they want the superstar, but also what does she do in her downtime?
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense with fan engagement.
And plus, I think then like those fan pages, when there are those fan pages that'll repost, what fans are putting together, it makes the fans actually feel a part of it, right? It's not that you're just following someone or that you're just cheering for someone. Like you want to be a part of it. I mean, you had a great win yesterday, so I'm sure all the Husker fans were like, "We won." They're a part of it.
Yes, we.
Yeah.
Very much so. We've got so do you know who Kevin is? He's like known as a Husker super fan. He's actually on a billboard in Lincoln. But he just reminds me of like honestly what I think of almost all of our fan base as is we. So he'll give me a pep talk every time I see him in the cafeteria. He's like, all right, we got this. We got to focus on defense and we got to crush on offense. And this, I'm like, all right, yeah, Kevin, we got this. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about when people say we.
It's a huge thing, and I think it's great that you embrace that, and you're like, yeah, I'm listening. We're in it.
We are in this.
But
yeah,
that's what sports gets to do that like very few other places get to do. When I was in the agency world, when we're working with clients to build their brands, everything they want is fandom. They want to have fans, and sports already has that built in. So I think it's cool that you embrace the we. That's awesome.
Absolutely. You got to give back.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I guess, okay, so this is what I like to do before we try the lemonade.
Yeah.
Is if you had like 10 or 15 seconds. So it's kind of the story of how you turned lemonade from lemons.
Okay.
Okay. So what is like your 10, 50-second pitch of your job opportunity, who you are, and just kind of game changer that you are?
I feel one of the things I was thinking about is like professional women's volleyball didn't exist. So I knew D1 was as high as I could dream, right? Outside of the Olympics. But when I was growing up, D1 was as high as I could dream. And I remember being, in 8th grade and doing in the gym, and I'm like, D1, D1, D1. And I think it's hard not to be jealous when other generations get great opportunities that weren't there. But being able to be a part of building what this next generation gets, I think is my lemonade. I think that's huge, to be able to still be around the sport and continue to elevate it in a completely different way. I'm not going to be, any of those individuals on the court, but I get to help continue to elevate the league, continue to help elevate the sport and elevate those athletes, and being able to be a part of that is something that's incredible. I mean, there's so many adversities that you face when you're in sports. I remember all of us teammates were like, well, the harder the struggle, the better the ESPN 360.
True.
Right? You're like, okay, if I'm really struggling through this, then my undeterred story is going to be so much better. But I think I do feel like I'm coming really full circle. And I think that being able to be a part of professional women's volleyball now, at this point in my career with what I have in my resume has been probably I'm feeling like I'm seeing the lemonade. So that's been really special.
Beautiful. And on that note, let's try the lemonade.
Let's try it.
So yeah, just give it a try. Let us know what you think. Great. It's made from The Grove, a local cafe here in Omaha.
I love that.
And it was made this morning, so I've been told.
Ooh, fresh.
Yes. And very fresh.
Oh, that's good.
It's real ingredients.
I feel like I should be like on a street corner, like thanking some kids, you know, like where it's like the good.
Yes.
You know what I
I know
mean?
you're talking about like a little lemonade
Like a little
stand.
lemonade stand where you're like, oh, I just gave you, you know,
A
$1.
quarter. Yes.
Mhm.
Back when it was a quarter. Oh my gosh.
I know. Yeah, that's really good.
All right. What do you
Good
rate
job,
it?
Grove.
What do you?
Are we going out of 10?
Yeah.
I'm like not usually a lemonade girly, but I'd go 9 out of 10.
Love that.
It's great.
It's one of my favorites because I'm kind of a health nut, and I love that it's real ingredients. It's got the ingredients on the label. Also, it's local.
So good.
Val was telling me that was made this morning. I'm like, it's literally the perfect.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah.
No, it's really good.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you for joining me. I guess, I don't know. Do you have anything else more for the fans?
Come watch League One Rocket this year at Baxter Arena. Super excited to be here. Thank you so much for hosting us. So grateful that you were the host. I was like, oh, this will be good energy. But so grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Bye.